Well, hello, Tiffany. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Kelly?
Doing great, doing great. I'm Kelly with Broaddus Properties Group here in Flagstaff, and this is one of my preferred lenders, Tiffany Tardash with Cross Country Mortgage. You can see it there in the back. And we want to talk a little bit today about what we can expect next year and some options for buyers and what sellers should be thinking about doing. So, Tiffany, why don't you share what your biggest advice is to buyers right now?
Okay, so there is quite a bit of data that's coming out for what expectations are for next year. Um, we have seen some major rate drops in just the last week or so. One of the biggest rate drops in a 2 day period of time ever. So basically, going from close to 8%, 7.875, down a full percent to 6.875 in 2 days. And that was last week. And they have continued little by little by little to get better and better. I'm actually quoting right about 6.5% right now with no rate buy down dollars. And you can get easily into the high fives with throwing a little bit of money towards the rate if you negotiated that from the seller. So that is pretty fantastic. The expectations for next year are that the rates are going to continue dropping, that we are going to see a regular rate in the mid fives. So I think that's where we should have our sights, which in turn, the mortgage applications for purchases are up 5% in the last 2 to 3 weeks alone, which is a large increase. So what that means is people are now getting pre-qualified, finding out what they qualify for, wanting to be ready. So if there is a home that comes on the market that they fall in love with, they're ready to go. So that is a big increase. And that increase is new that we've seen in the last 2 years. We have not seen that kind of increase. Here's what everybody needs to realize, that the home prices have not gone down. They have gone up, actually. Statistically, they've gone up 0.6% over the last couple months. So home prices are not coming down. They're steady or they're increasing. So just like we've heard everybody say, and we've been educating our borrowers and buyers in real estate, that as soon as the rates come down, prices are going to continue going up and you're going to pay more for your house.
Do you think that one of the strategies that the Fed had in raising the rates was to try to bring home prices down a little bit?
Well, the whole strategy about raising interest rates is to cap inflation. So inflation is when people keep spending more and more and more money. So the government has to stop people from spending money, including, home prices. If we're just buying homes, cars, all kinds of stuff, retail. So the whole point of raising their rates is to stop inflation. And that's where we're seeing we're at the top of that.
Okay, so then typically what happens next whenever inflation is at the top? What happens then?
What happens is then we go into a recession, which is what the talk is for 2024, to technically be a recession, which ends up decreasing the interest rates, because on the opposite of inflation, now the government wants us to keep spending money or to stop spending money, right? So it's a circle that, as inflation is going up, they raise the rates to stop people spending money. And then all of a sudden, when people stop spending money, they're going to lower the rates so we start spending money again.
So it's a vicious cycle, in other words. And so people are always asking, do you think the rates are going to go back down to 3 and 4% again?
My personal opinion is no. If you look at history over the last 30, 40 years, we had the only time we saw the twos and threes was during COVID. I mean, so that was anomaly. That was something that nobody expected, and that we didn't know how to deal with. Obviously, our government didn't either. So that was one of the. That's a perfect example of the government said, let's lower the interest rates to make sure people are spending money during the pandemic. That was the whole reason, is to keep consumer confidence up while we were in this state of, really fear and unknown, right? So that was the point of having the rates that low.
So that was essentially a real anomaly, not ever happen again in any of our lifetimes. I mean, curious, can a person even buy their interest rate down to 3%? I mean, is that even possible?
No. Right now, if I looked at the rate sheet, you can buy it down to probably low fours. Right now, possibly high threes, but it would cost like 10% of your loan amount to get to those lower numbers. And then there's regulation and restrictions on top of how much you can buy down, whether you're buying it down yourself or you're asking the seller to do it. There's certain caps that come into play on that.
Okay, well, that's it for today. Again, I'm Kelly with Broaddus Properties Group, and my phone number is 928-606-6749. My website, northernarizonafinehomes.com. You can go on there and click on the little button and see what your home is worth. It's a really neat little tool. And give me a call if you're interested in buying or selling. I can get you in touch with Tiffany. We can start you on the process, start you down the road, and get ready to get ahead of the curve. Thank you, Tiffany. We'll see you next time.